Hey everybody, welcome to BrickVault. Today we're going to dive deep into our vault and review a minifigure collection of an iconic franchise from the 80s and 90s, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Starting off as a comic series and quickly jumping into television in the mid to late 80s, this bizarre animated universe needs little more explanation than the title that's already given. The four main teenage characters of mutant turtle origin live in New York, love pizza, and fight crime. Now, as always in these videos, we are going to explore the complete collection from where these figs came out, what sets they came out in, and how much they are currently worth in the collector's market. The relatively short-run theme has a surprising amount of unique designs and some of the most collectible figs ever produced for LEGO. Before jumping in, I'll say that if you like this wooden fig display case you see in front of you, we sell them at our web store, www.brickvault.toys. They're made of solid American red oak inlaid with real LEGO coming in a variety of colors and produced in the United States. Any and all support from you guys is always greatly appreciated. And now let's take a look at the first figs that came out there, also the most collectible of the bunch. These first two guys came from Comic-Con 2012, New York and San Diego Comic-Con. Really interesting minifigures. They are among some of the first. They're not the very first, but they're some of the first collectible minifigures to have ever come from a con, which is kind of cool. And Shadow Leonardo is by far the most unique and interesting out of these two guys. He's all black. The print for him isn't really much different from the other version of Leonardo that came out in the sets, though the color combination has changed. Like, he's got gray belts here, and also the shell printing for him is white, which is kind of unique. And what makes him even really unique is that he also comes with a skateboard that's got a sticker. It says Comic-Con. This one actually says New York Comic-Con. I wonder if the San Diego one said San Diego Comic-Con, if you got them from there. My guess is probably yes. It's the only sticker and or print that exists in universe for a fig that can actually exist within the LEGO world that has reference to Comic-Con. So he is kind of the most Comic-Con figure ever when you think about it like that. This is a $500 fig. This guy goes for around $300 or $350 depending. And yeah, so you have a pretty good idea of how collectible Comic-Con figs normally go. You can see a little bit of the print of the Krang face on the inside of this robotic body, which is kind of cool, and there's a little bit of that organic material coming through the back as well. In general, pretty flat print for this guy. I like that they included a little bit of negative space. It's not even negative space, it's just a line for the hips. It's before they even started doing negative space printing. It just kind of dates the figure, which is interesting. And in case you were wondering, yes, there is a little print for the back of his head. This is something that you probably would never see because people don't generally show the full prints of these Comic-Con exclusives if they can avoid it. So that's kind of interesting that they decided to add that. And no print for the back of Shadow Leonardo, just the print on the front, pretty much exactly the same as how he came in the sets. Now for collectors, in order for these figs to be totally complete, they should each have their special card that came with them. This one you can still see has the brick that's glued to the card. The other one has fallen off. That's a pretty common thing that happens. And this is the promo for the show that was coming soon. That's why this theme actually kicked off for LEGO, is there was a new Ninja Turtles show coming around. And yeah, so anyways, those are the little cards. Let's move on. Now jumping over to the first figs that came from actual sets. Officially, they are 2013 releases. We've got Michelangelo here with a happy face. His open, happy mouth expression is really the unique thing that makes him different here. And this is just a common foot soldier. They both came from the Krang Lab Escape set. Michelangelo here is surprisingly $10, which is a little bit expensive compared to some of the other versions of other turtles. And the foot soldier is incredibly common, being around $2 or even less. The eye pattern for this guy is such a classic look for these bad guy ninjas. And the mold here for the turtle shell, which is basically identical on all of the other turtles here, looks really good. I also like the general shape and head mold for these guys. From the same set, we actually have a Krang, or the Krang. That's the name of this piece. This is the actual entity, the alien entity escaping, and it's a pretty nice, unique mold. He only came out in this set which is kind of fun, and you'll see that he's soft. He's got these soft rubbery kind of legs here. He's less than $1 if you want to get him brand new. And then moving over, these next two guys came from the same set. This version of Donatello and Shredder first appeared and only appeared in the Shredder's Dragon Bike set. Each of them individually will sell for around $7 if you wanted to get them brand new. And what makes Shredder unique is actually quite a bit. Most of the printing and stuff for his body is unique just to this guy. This is also the first time we've seen his version of his armor and his helmet and his shreddy claws as well. There is no printing on his back. This is what his facial expression looks like. He's actually a pretty intimidating looking guy, and I think a pretty good version of this villain. And technically nothing on this Donatello minifigure is exclusive. This facial expression existed on a different torso print for him later down the line. It's just an exclusive combination of pieces for this guy. And then moving down the line, the next set of two also came from the same set. Fish Face here and Raphael both appeared in the Stealth Shell Pursuit set, and this Raphael also appeared in one other set from the same wave. And what makes Raphael unique here is the print for his face. This is the only time his face has this kind of angry expression. And of course, Fish Face is just unique through and through. The mold for his legs, his body, the arms have not been molded in this particular configuration either, and he's just a really weird looking guy. Believe it or not, he's only $5, even though he's incredibly unique in terms of actual production time and scarcity. While Raphael here, he's just more well sought after, and he's around a $9 fig if you wanted to get him brand new. The prints for each of these turtles' bodies, by the way, on the front is slightly different when it comes to the four main guys. And then a ton of new figures came out in this next set. So we've got Splinter. He appeared in the Turtle Lair Attack. He's a little bit more collectible than most of the other figs from this, from actually all of Ninja Turtles, really. He's $12, and it's the only time we actually get a Splinter minifigure. The mold for his head is exceptionally good. He, in my mind, especially growing up, I always thought he kind of looked evil. He always looks a bit gnarly. He's a rat. He's got these red eyes, at least in this depiction here, and Splinter isn't really the most cuddly name, but it's a decent looking print all around. These earlier ones, this 2013 print, feels a little bit flat. There's not a lot of shading, but the detail is fine. I think the detail looks good on both sides, and the mold for his head is exceptionally good. From the same set comes another Raphael. You see now that he's a little bit more angry. Same print for his body, just the facial expression is different. $7 for this guy here, and then we have the first normal version of Leonardo. We saw Shadow Leonardo in the beginning, but this is the regular version. You'll notice what I said earlier, the Shadow version of him is the actual exact same print. Just, the colors have changed in order to match this version of him there. So that's just kind of an interesting anecdote. And this Leonardo with the slightly angry face is a $7 fig. The last two figs from the Turtle Lair Attack set is this Dark Ninja in dark red. Honestly, nothing much to write home about in terms of detailing, though that beard and goatee is kind of a reveal. You usually don't expect to see that on a ninja. And then this is actually just a sparring statue that's got the Shredder mask in dark brown, which is an exclusive piece, but it's not actually a character. This guy goes for around $3 brand new. $5, interestingly enough, for the all brown statue, or I should just say wood after all. But then let's move on to the next guy. This Leonardo appeared in the Shell Razor Street Chase set along with many of the other guys you're about to see. This is his overall look. What makes him unique is basically his expression and the fact that he's actually a little bit more beat up. You can see his face actually has some beat up marks as well. He's $7, and then moving down is Dog Pound from the same set. Really interesting mold. Look at that. I can't believe that it actually just fits right in with minifigure legs. It's a super, super tight fit. And this guy is designed a little bit differently than your common Big Fig nowadays. The arms, for example, aren't put in with pins, not even the bigger one here. These are kind of like a standard minifigure arm connection. I think you can actually take it off and just put it onto a normal torso, if I'm not mistaken. And this fig is basically representative of a time when LEGO really actually tried quite a lot with their individual characters. This is really quite nice, especially for the time when he came out. Same set, different foot soldier. He's just got basically a different, slightly different print, slightly different colors that make up this foot soldier instead of the one pretty much all in black. $2 for this guy, and then we've got the Krang, and this is a much cooler version of him. You don't see too many figs done in medium blue, which is kind of nice. This is the actual Krang. You can see the full version of the body of this guy inside this robotic mechanical being. And I gotta say, good printing all around. He's got toe printing here, which is unique for the time for sure. This is what he looks like on the back. I do like the inclusion of just simple brick add-ons to normal weapons. Like this pack on the back isn't really popping out too much, just binocular pieces, but it's certainly big enough. Let's take a look at the print. Not much shading by today's standard, but certainly a highly detailed one, and I think they did a great job on this bad guy. Just $2, and we're moving on to the last guy from this set. He also came out in a poly bag, this version of Michelangelo with his tongue sticking out, and there you go. It's just him with his tongue sticking out. There's not anything really different about him. He is a $7 fig. And now we've got Mouser. He's from the Baxter Robot Rampage set. Interesting. We built up a little bit of a thing so he can actually just be rotated on the stand, though normally he doesn't really stud into much, and he's just a weird guy. Not gonna lie, there's nothing too special about him. None of the parts here are particularly unique, though I do like this connection here done in flat silver. He is $2 if you want to get him pre-assembled. And then our first version of April O'Neil. This is her from the television show. I recognize her, or at least this version of her, most from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie, though this is a pretty accurate depiction of the character from the show. Nowadays, you would definitely see those legs dual molded, but they didn't do that back then, and there's actually really nice gene detailing on the legs in general. The negative space for her hips is now shaded, unlike the line printing we saw from the year before from the Comic-Con exclusive. It's pretty exaggerated as well. They usually don't go that deep on the hips, at least not nowadays. Our first version of a character with an alternate expression. I do like the little freckles that this character has. And she only came out in this set, so a little bit collectible, a little bit more exclusive, $9 in total. And this is the most collectible version of a regular Ninja Turtle from the show. Donatello, also from the same set, is $12. He's got the open mouth, split tooth there expression. That's what makes him unique in this set. Nothing too different about him. A lot of these guys, it's really just a different facial expression, not much more than that. And I couldn't really tell you why he is just a little bit more than the rest of the guys. This character, Baxter Stockman, he's just a funny looking guy. The pink highlights just contrasts oddly with him. Look at the look at the expressions too. I love the expressions for this character. You just don't get this skin tone and these funny expressions with glasses and kind of a funny mustache very often. You see the helmet that he's got on there. It's the old pilot helmet, but molded in flat silver. This bit of armor detailing along with the scabbard came from Ninjago. I think first appeared in Ninjago. And here's what he looks like from the back. Pretty detailed, despite the fact that it's pretty much meant to be covered up at all times. He's $4, brand new. And then this is the last fig from 2013. He came out in a poly bag as well as another set from 2014. And this fig is just like the previous Krang that we saw, but he doesn't have a neck bracket with build on him, which technically makes him an alternate release. That is $2, and let's jump up to 2014. Now here is the only version of Michelangelo from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie from 2014. His skin tone has changed, the mold for his head has changed, the placement for the shell along his back has changed. So that is a completely new mold as well, and of course all of the print details are different. Look at him compared to the show and or cartoony version of him, the original. Very, very different guy. Let me show you him without the nunchucks. And he also has printing on his back for basically no good reason. It doesn't even show like a full shell because it's supposed to kind of go up behind his head, sort of like make him feel a little bit more like a turtle. He's 14 bucks, brand new, which actually makes him, I think, the most collectible of the turtles outside of the Comic-Con ones. And he's also very creepy in the movie in kind of a goofy horror way. Raphael also came out in the Turtle Van Takedown. This is one version of him. He is a darker skin tone, which is kind of nice. It just sort of breaks up his look a little bit more. You'll also see that his headband goes completely over his head, so he is a slightly different look all around. Same print for his back, just like Michelangelo, and he is a $3 or $4 fig. Oddly enough, Vern from the same set is around $6 if you wanted to get him brand new. Nothing particularly unique about him. His torso print is unique for him. I don't believe that face print is unique, and I think, just kidding, I thought he had an alternate facial print, but he actually doesn't have one. So he's a pretty simple looking bad dude. He comes with the older cell phone print, and we're moving on to the last guy from this set, just a normal foot soldier. He only appeared in this set and one other, and I gotta say, he does look very convincingly like, I don't know, contemporary bad-looking guy. I think a lot of people like to use this print and another one also from this wave for more contemporary warfare battle scenes. And they're right to do so. He does really look like sort of a modern military bad guy. $4 if you want to get him brand new. And now we're moving on. The lighter blue for Leonardo here contrasts in kind of a funny way with this skin tone. He appeared in the Big Rig Snow Getaway set, $7. And there's two versions of him. This first version, you can actually see he's got some different printing for his shell. His shell is actually a darker color, so that's kind of interesting. And there's also, he's got the scabbard that studs directly into the back. So kind of a unique print there. And I also like that they included that sort of ribbed bamboo armor that he has on the front. It doesn't really look like it does anything in the movie, but I like they included that print for the fig. This is his back, just so you can say that I showed you. And then we have the second version of Raphael. He's got the angry expression. That is the only thing different about him. He also appeared in the same Getaway set. He's just $5. And then we get our second April O'Neil, the Megan Fox version of her in the same set as well. She's got the long red hair. I think it's so funny. Her facial expression is really just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of feels like a Megan Fox fig, which is sort of interesting. Those cheekbones are printed in there. Her alternate expression is also just kind of a funny, I don't know, her negative space for the hips are also very dramatic, just like the last version of her. In fact, all the female figs have pretty dramatic negative space printing for the hips. She is $6. And then Karai has a pretty nice print for the hairpiece here. Kind of interesting. The negative space is done in green, which is just an interesting choice, but it sort of works for the color combination that we have here. She is $4, and let's see if she's got an alternate expression. Pretty darn good one, in fact. Yeah, not a bad fig through and through. This was, I think, probably one of the better printed hair pieces that came out for its time, and we are still in the same set, by the way. This is the last fig to come from this set. Really weird. It's a mask actually that's going around this character face, though it does kind of look like weird facial hair. And it almost looks like he's got a massive unibrow. Not the most successful face print, but it's the same body print as the previous bad guy. So still an interesting guy to get. And then the second version of Leonardo has a different expression. From the Turtle Lair Invasion set, he is $6. And now we have our only version of Donatello from the movie. He's $9 from the same set. And I think they captured him pretty darn well. The fact that you can fit the goggles onto his head is pretty cool. What I didn't point out before, you can also see the little nubs in the side of this guy's head. All the head molds are exactly the same, but they kept the nubs in just so you could have the goggles on Donatello. And then this is his full body print here. Definitely a different looking guy. The back of him, of course, looks the same. And then here he is again, all suited back up. And it's interesting to note that that his staff is actually made of 2 different flexi tubes in brown. So that's an interesting choice of just weapon piece to use. Definitely a worthy fig though, lots of unique features for him. And when I said the last time we got Splinter was like the only version of him, technically this is the movie version of him. The same head mold exists. It feels like halfway between a rat and a wolf, but I also got that impression even from the early comics and cartoons. The coloration has obviously changed quite a bit. He feels a lot more like a rat. I think they sort of overdid it with the fur printing on the sides of him. I know he's a bit shaggy, but it just feels like a bit much here. The print for his torso is pretty solid, pretty rock solid guy. Kind of funny with the short legs. His head is almost half of his entire height. This Splinter is $5. And then also from the same set, and actually the last guy to come from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie, is Shredder. The mold for his helmet is the same, though his shoulder pad mold has changed to match up with his detailing from the movie. Of course, he's got almost like full body printing, which is kind of nice. It's honestly pretty decent detailing through and through. Let me put his armor back on. I forgot to point out the print. The front of his face mask here has a little bit of printing right by the mouth, which makes that a unique piece too. He is $11, and let's move on to the TV show again. Karai looks a bit different, and what a weird piece for hair. Look at the blonde undercut. There's no texture on the underside, but there's texture on the top, and it's hard to describe, but this is also like a little bit softer. You can see the hair moving, so the top part of the hair is a little bit softer and rubbery, and this is like really flat and smooth, like really hard ABS. And she's also got some interesting face prints as well with the really bright red eyebrows. Good job, Lego, for making just a interesting, strange character. She is $4, came from the Karai Bike escape set, and so did this Leonardo with the angry face. That's the thing that makes him unique, is the open mouth angry face. You guys let me know which turtle shell mold you think looks better, the movie version or the show version. I think the show version looks a little bit better. And now let's jump into a very strange character. You can't even really see the whole version of him here. Zooming out, you can see spider bites from the Mutation Chamber Unleashed set. Weird guy, weird body mold, weirder arm molds. I think his arms are actually the funniest parts about him. They look just kind of fat and schlubby and strange. He's got these very large, articulatable, finger-like, spider-like legs on top of his head. He's got those multiple spider eyes. Just a strange-looking thing all around. $5, interestingly enough. Just not very well sought after. Quite a lot of ABS put into this guy and a decent amount of design time, I would think so as well, but the lack of popularity certainly shows with his price. This version of Raphael appeared in the same set. He's mostly gray. He's actually just kind of an armored guy. This is the first time any Ninja Turtle from the show has gotten any real different body printing, and also his face has a bit of extra printing to go along with it. He is $5. Victor's also from the same set. Nothing special about him, but I just love that we get a schlubby, dirty, kind of gross looking guy just thrown in because he is a character this is relevant for the set itself, and he can be interchanged and used in just about any flesh tone mock that you're making. He's just I don't know, he's just a fat dude in a tank top. $3, glad to have him. And now we're moving on from the T-Rocket Sky Strike. Raw is R-A-W. Comes this version of Donatello. I like the purple highlights here. He just feels a little bit more complete. They also bothered to put printing onto the back of him. Pretty good printing all around. I like what they did around his eyes. Just a solid looking guy through and through. $6. And the same can be said for our next version of Michelangelo. These are also flexi tubes that are used instead of 3L bars. And here is what his print looks like. He's basically looks like he's about to jump out of a plane. He's got kind of that parachute jumpsuit, and that printing is also extended over to the back. He is $6. Then this guy is the last from this set, and by far the single strangest fig from the collection, hands down. Nothing here in mutated Dr. O'Neill actually works. The colors are too striking. It's too different. The textures for the body change too rapidly. I know this is an actual character from an actual from the show, but holy guacamole, is this just such a fugly, weird, strange creature. You can see the growth coming around and the print extending from the front and also the back. The ears pop away on the mold in kind of an awkward way. It doesn't even look like the mold is done particularly well necessarily. And these man-bat arms are just so funny and strange to get them in that kind of magenta, dark pink look. He's got printing on his toes, which is also a bit extra, especially for this time period, and no alternate expression on the back of his head, but one very strange and very gnarly looking front print for his head. $8 to get this minifigure. I think he's worth every penny. He is by far one of the strangest figs I have seen ever made in LEGO, period. And then from the Turtle Sub Undersea Chase set, we have another version of Donatello. The print for his face shows that he's wearing a breathing apparatus, and the print for his body also reflects that on the front and back. I really do appreciate the extra back printing, even though contextually it doesn't really make a lot of sense. He is a $4 minifigure, and then $3 for the scuba version of Leonardo. The prints are extremely similar. It's almost like a steampunk vibe going for this guy. And then let's move on to a couple of villains from this same set. Leatherhead is an extremely unique figure. He still has the minifigure legs, just like Dog Pound, except a massively overdone torso with crazy weird arms. Great detailing through and through. Really love the ridges along the back. Yeah. Good looking dude. And then this is the Krang, but mostly in gray without those blue highlights. A lot of the details, the printing details, are basically the same, just on a differently colored body. He comes with a harpoon gun, and Leatherhead here is $8, while the Krang here is $2. Let's jump to the last version of, actually not the last version of Shredder, I misspoke, but I suppose the last classic version of Shredder. He's got a purple cape. Him and the much taller robot foot soldier here came out in the Shredder's Lair Rescue set. He's got the garment on piece, which is kind of fun, and the print for Shredder is actually pretty darn decent. Let me take off the extra pieces here. Shredder's expression is actually pretty darn cool here with the open mouth. Printing is great along the front and the back, still relatively flat. This whole theme has pretty flat printing, and then the detailing here is the same as the first time we saw the standard foot soldier, so really the only unique thing is that extra torso piece. Shredder's mostly unique in terms of printing and pieces, including his facial expression, so he's a $14 fig exclusive to this set, and this guy who doesn't totally fit in the frame is $4. Now this version of Raphael also came from Shredder's Lair Rescue. He's got a different expression for this version of Raphael, so guess what? He's unique. That is $8, oddly enough, for this guy, and also $8 for this version of Michelangelo, who also just has a different expression for this version of the character. And now for the least exciting guy that we have in the collection, it is Leonardo. He's exactly the same as a version we saw before. This guy came out in a polybag, the turtle layer, no printing on the legs. That's his unique feature. He's just a cheaper version of other guys, $5. And then a cooler character. This is the flashback Shredder, so he doesn't have his armor. It's before he becomes the Shredder that we all kind of know as a classic villain. He's got a special print for the front and back of him, also the facial expression as well. $7, brand new from the bag, and let's check out the whole collection one more time. This collection totals 53 figures, including the small Krang, which technically isn't a minifig. And via requests in the comments below, you guys wanted to know how much collections are worth in total. The figures on their own without shipping costs is a little over $300, and that doesn't include the 2 Comic-Con exclusives, which by themselves together you'd be lucky to get for $800 if you had both the cards included. So in total it would cost over $1,100. That doesn't include shipping, and depending on where you are in the world, it could be considerably more to ship them to your country of origin. It's always cheaper to buy and sell Lego within the United States or Europe. If Lego were to produce any other Ninja Turtles IP character in the future, I'd really like to get the 1990s April O'Neil from the movie, or perhaps an original Splinter from the cartoon. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you enjoy our content, you can always like or subscribe. We really like making these weird long-form collection videos for you guys, so if you have any requests for us in the future, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.